Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. This is another installment of Comics Haul where I go over comics I've recently purchased, back issues, and this specifically was about a week and a half ago. I had the chance to go back on island to Montreal, and there's no better place when you're looking for back issues than going to see Mark at Comic Hunter. They have huge floor space, tons of vintage issues, Golden Age, Silver Age, magazines, specialty stuff. They got a great dollar bin section. So I'm just going to go through kind of my recent purchases and why I purchased them. So I've kind of been, I wouldn't usually go for Dark Stars or Travis Charest, but I was going through the dollar bin section. I realized that, most of the issues drawn by him are still just, $1, kind of a real good deal on those. And I really do like the earliest period of Travis Charest, where he's kind of a bit of a Jim Lee clone and a bit of a Rob Liefeld clone as well. This feels more like Jim Lee over here, but then I see some of these kind of lines on the arms and stuff, and then the forehead that remind me a little bit more of Rob Liefeld. Travis Charest, very skilled artist, became much more illustrative and precise and stuff later on, but there's just something about this early period that I really like. I talked about a couple of days ago in one of my reviews, his or actually an upcoming review, about how he did this Wildstorm comic, the Wildcats comic. I'm not exactly sure if I could find that, but there's just a great promo illustration, and that's the kind of stuff that I really like from him. So I was able to find these Dark Stars again for $1. I messed up on one of them. It says Travis Charest on the cover, but he doesn't actually draw the interiors, but everything else is pretty much him doing covers and interiors. Great stuff that I will be reviewing at some point. So what do we got? We got Dark Stars, number 4. Number 6, cool looking Hawkman here. Really like that. I really like the hatching lighting effect he's doing in this middle panel here. Looks really great. Dark Stars number 7. Dark Stars number 8. Well, that's kind of a weird one. It's got kind of a rodeo theme here. And Dark Stars number 9 as well. Once again, I think you can really see the Image kind of Jim Lee influence on him here, but he really does eventually start to make it his own. And I do feel like he's already a pretty solid artist and not kind of an amateur artist trying to do Jim Lee. There's a bit of Whilce Portacio I see here also in the way this jacket is and these lines here. So yeah, he's kind of a mix of early Homage Studios guys, is I guess what I would say about Travis Charest. And his name is French. It's actually Charest in French. Here I got duped a little bit with this one. I really should pay more attention. The old, one artist draws the cover and another artist does the interiors. For some reason, I really thought that Todd McFarlane did the interiors here, but I should have looked it up. He doesn't. But I'm not that disappointed because the interiors are by Eric Larson, and this is one of the earliest issues of Eric Larson working on The Amazing Spider-Man. So we get a Todd McFarlane cover. The comic's in decent condition. Eric Larson does the interiors, so that'll help me out. When I'm done the Savage Dragon run of reviews, I'll be going back on a few early Amazing Spider-Man issues I was able to get that Eric Larson draws to kind of finish up the Eric Larson run like I've done with other artists, right? Tom McFarlane, case in point, I finished off with the early Incredible Hulk issues that I got later after I'd started his reviews. So that'll come in handy at some point, and I'll be reviewing this for sure. Obviously, a lot of these books that I get are in keeping in mind that I'm probably going to review them at some point. This is a fun one, Mad Dog. I'll just take it out to show you real quick. I'll be reviewing this at some point on Wildcard Sundays. But, I forget how much, in a weird way, in and around when I really started collecting comics and started getting into them, there was a TV show on TV starring Bob Newhart. Is that his name? I think so. Anyways, and it was just called Bob, and in that series, he was a comic book artist. It only lasted one season. It wasn't very popular. It didn't work out. But there's just something about it early on, me starting to collect comics. There's a sitcom on TV about comic books, or at least comic book creators, and it just got me interested in that. And in that series, Bob has, back in the day, maybe in the 60s, created a character called Mad Dog that we see here. And this is kind of that version, the 60s version, very influenced by Silver Age Batman and Robin, obviously. And in that sitcom, it was now the 90s, and Image Comics and dark takes and stuff were all the rage, dark and gritty, right after Dark Knight Returns. And the publisher who owned the rights to the character were proposing to Bob to now work on the newest iteration of Mad Dog that was much more kind of in line with 90s comics, dark and gritty. And I'll just give you a little example of that because this is a flip book. So you've got kind of the classic version of Mad Dog, and then you've got kind of the 90s version of Mad Dog here, which clearly, as you can tell, very inspired by characters like, Wolverine. The costume design is very 90s Marvel, kind of trying to do an image riff. So again, I've just got the first issue. It's a flip book. There's 2 stories, and I'll be looking at that one at some point soon on Wildcard Sunday and talking more about that and about the Bob TV show. Other than that, I'm on the lookout. Mark at Comic Hunter literally has a section that you can go through that are signed comics. And I found, I don't go for the very expensive ones, but every once in a while when I can find something maybe from like, $5 to $10 and it's interesting to me, I'll get it. So this one is signed by Rick Veitch. This is a classic Alan Moore Swamp Thing issue. So I thought it was worthwhile to get it. Not signed on the cover. You can't see it here. And I was a little bit disappointed when I kind of noticed that, but then I realized there was still kind of a tradition in the early 80s that artists would sign the first page or the first few pages. So here is where you can actually find the Rick Veitch signature. And I love just looking at this. At some point, I'm sure I'll be reviewing the Alan Moore Swamp Things because they're classics and they're very good comics. I like this monochrome kind of color treatment on these pages here. Does it start on the first page? It does, right? It's pretty close to just being blue monochrome. Not sure if that's going to happen all the way throughout, but yeah, I don't want to look at that too much. I'll be reviewing that at some point in the future as well. Another signed comic. I'm still on the fence of whether or not I want to start collecting Kiss Psycho Circus, just because I love the Angel Medina artwork, and I think he was on there pretty much for the whole run. So, I've looked at eBay and stuff, and there are, complete collections for fairly decent prices, but I still haven't kind of pulled the trigger on that. But for $6, get a signed comic, Kiss Psycho Circus comic. This is my first actual issue of the book. Felt like a fair deal, so I got it. And this one, man, I've been waiting for this issue for a few years. Next Wave, Agents of Hate, back when it was being published. I wasn't buying a lot of comics, but I really liked this series. It was really fun. Warren Ellis, great writer. Stuart Immonen, great artist. And just some funny storylines. Bit of a parody book mixed in with some cool adventure. It was just, again, at the time when I was buying it, I just felt like it was, compared to a lot of stuff that was coming out, it was just a very entertaining book. And I have the whole series, except for some reason I missed issue 8. And, for the longest time, I just couldn't find it, or, didn't look for it, or missed it. And then recently going through, I just, every time I go to Mark Comic Hunter, I'd look through the Next Wave section, just hoping he might have a copy of it, and boom. This time it was there. So for $5, I thought it was a pretty good deal, pretty good steal actually. And I was able to finish my run, which once again, I will definitely be reviewing at some point, because I think it's one of the better kind of series that came out around this time. Not exactly sure what year or years this was published. And unfortunately it was canceled. Not enough sales, but really kind of a hidden gem in that period of Marvel, I think. And again, great writing and great art from Stuart Immonen. So I'll be reviewing this sometime soon. Oh, and these are kind of the holy grail of what I found. Now this, I did not find at Comic Hunter. For a long while, I've been trying to finish up my kind of first 100 issues of Spawn, 1 to 100. I've been able to get some of those at Comic Hunter, some of those from friends online. And I've been looking for 77 and issue 99 for the longest time. I don't know about you guys, but these seem to be, for anyone who's into Spawn, if you had issues or finding these comics, these seem to be the two hardest issues to find in that first 100 issue run. At least it was for me. I'd go on my comic shop online, and sometimes I order books from there, but the cost was always just very prohibitive, about $150 each issue. Obviously they only had like the CGC copies available, so 9.6s and 9.7s running $150 each. I was not going to go for that. So a few weeks ago, I just put out a call on some of the Facebook groups relating to Spawn and Todd McFarlane that I'm on or are part of on Facebook. And a gentleman from British Columbia, I'll just shout out the name Bill. Thank you, Bill. I really do appreciate it. He was nice enough to contact me and say that he could give me or did give me a really good deal on both issues, and shipping within Canada, thank God, is not prohibitively expensive. So I got these for a really good price. Really happy about that. So I want to thank Bill once again. And these are pretty darn pristine copies. So possibly, you know, market wise worth almost as much as those $150 CGC copies. So not that I'm planning on selling them or anything like that, but yeah, I'm just happy to have these in my collection. And I was always very intrigued by this cover of Spawn here, where he seems to kind of forego his hellish aspects and becomes almost, I guess what they're implying with the wings is that he's an angel at this point. Not quite sure when we get to that. You know, I haven't read the storyline, so when I review them and we get up into the 70s, I'll be looking at that and giving you the full lowdown on these issues. It's going to be a little while, obviously, to get to 77 and 99. The last Spawn issue I reviewed was 25. And then next, I'm going to be moving on to Capullo issues. But before I do that, on Capullo Day, I'm still reviewing earlier stuff. Right now, I'm on Quasar. I'm going to be doing X-Force. And other little odds and ends, and then we're going to be moving on to Greg Capullo on Spawn. So it's going to be a while before I review these issues, but I will get to them for sure. So that is it for Comics Haul today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're subscribed, thank you so much for being there. If you're not subscribed, please do so below. It really helps the channel, helps us grow, helps get us out there to other people who are into comic books, and helps spread the word of Big Baby Reviews all throughout YouTube and the internet. So thank you, guys. Have yourselves an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.